Hello, everyone. Welcome to the second monthly webinar of our Road to the 2026 Medical Innovation Olympics Series. My name is Tim Mikhelashvili, CEO of Amadea Pharma, a health tech impact startup that specializes in performance analytics and organizational change. Also, the organizer of the Medical Innovation Olympics since 2022. Their unique format of healthcare competition, which I couldn't have done without my board and just a distinguished group of leaders and experts in healthcare, technology, and beyond, many of whom you'll meet here. Today, we're going to be featuring an innovator whom I had the fortune of meeting a couple of years ago at a conference called AI in Medical Affairs, Srinivasan Krishnan, who brings a very unique and diverse experience for over 2 decades, leading digital transformation in devices and digital products and skincare at Unilever, which is probably an organization that many of you will know. And since then, he has transitioned into pharma and bringing all of those lessons and the knowledge into our field, about which I was just very excited. And as soon as I met him at this conference, which he moderated, I recognized a person who's a true innovator. And look, if you look at his LinkedIn profile, it says, "Create a future you believe in." So I think that says enough. So we're going to hear from him as our guest speaker, as well as another guest speaker we'll have, Krasimir Letnich, who's joining us from Hong Kong. He's going to join us very soon, but he was our past competitor as well. And he's going to talk a little bit about Agentic AI insights, what changed in terms of use cases in medical affairs as well. Okay. And so as we get started, Srinivasan, I'd like you to really introduce yourself first, please, and then the others as well before we get into our session.
Well, thank you very much, Tim, for that very, very glowing introduction. I hope to live up to those expectations that you may have set for the audience. Yeah. Srinivasan Krishnan, I've been an innovator for life is what I would like to call myself. Yeah. Innovation is my passion. I started my career after my bachelor's, master's, and PhD in chemical engineering. I joined Unilever, and I've done various different roles, everything starting from clinical studies, consumer studies, measurements to understand how our products interact with skin and how we can generate quantitative numbers that can substantiate the claims that go onto the packets and TV advertisement, etc. And that kind of took me towards the side of, okay, can we diagnose skin conditions a little bit earlier so we can prove our product efficacy a little bit earlier? So that got me into working with diagnostic devices and sensors. And life has been one full road of innovation where we took those sensors, we paired them up with phones, built out the first ever consumer-facing app from Unilever's perspective to help self-diagnose your skin condition, but also use experts to help diagnose that. And I cannot do this all myself. So when Unilever was setting up an open innovation unit, which was all about partnering with small and large companies, as well as with academics, I was one of the members of that. A natural flair to communicate, to partner, to negotiate, and to kind of like define what we want and what success would mean. So did that at Unilever, and finally my journey through Unilever brought me into the space of digital strategy and innovation, and that is what brought me from Unilever into Regeneron, where I joined to lead digital technologies and strategy for the medical affairs group. And as fate would have it, that is exactly where in one of those conferences that I met Tim. What I noticed is that pharma is super brilliant with a lot of very, very smart people, doctors, pharmacists, scientists across the spectrum. But pharma is also far more regulated and governed. And if I were to benchmark pharma against consumer packaged goods, I would say the digital adoption and innovation is probably a few years behind. But that is not necessarily a bad thing, because it provided an opportunity for me to introduce many tools that work very, very successfully in consumer packaged goods into the pharma space, and really, really help address some of the pain points that the teams were having in doing so. By nature, I am one who kind of like is always looking to do things better. And digital, and especially in today's world with all the generative AI tools at our disposal, it presents a unique opportunity for us to look at our domain and figure out how we can do things better by not necessarily inventing things, but by innovating with things that are around us.
Yeah.
Back over to you, Tim.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you very much for sharing that journey. So Melissa Norcross, so she's a part of our board for quite a few years now, expert judge as well. Melissa, please reintroduce yourself to the audience, and maybe to Srinivasan as well, who'll be joining you as an expert judge.
Yeah, so like Srinivasan, I started out as a chemical engineer as well, working for Unilever's biggest competitor, Procter & Gamble. But
I won't hold that against you.
Moved on. I went and did consulting for Unilever and all kinds of other things. I tend to work at the intersection of strategy and leadership and technology now, in a variety of industries, whether that's software or finance and banking, or the medical industry and healthcare industry. But I'm thrilled to be here and have been part of the growth of this organization with Tim. And I'm always passionate about thinking about how we lead either our projects or our people better, so that we can help them level up. And I think that's what one of the best parts of this program is that it helps folks to level themselves up and their organizations up, which is why I've been so excited about continuing to be involved in this program.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And I will also share my connection to Melissa as well. Back when I was an employee about 7-8 years ago at a startup, I decided to learn about operations and leadership, and I took a course at MIT that Melissa Norcross was teaching, with about 90 CEOs from all over the world, and it was just a tremendous, memorable experience. I've stayed in touch ever since. So this is how we've been building our community here. Now, Kresimir, I see Kresimir Litvinich join as promised. I know you're joining from Hong Kong. Kresimir,
No.
so you were a competitor in 2023 as well as in 2022, medalist as well. Please share with us just your background as well before we get into our topic later in more detail.
Hi, Tim. Sorry I'm late.
No problem.
So I am in Southeast Asia, in Bangkok and Singapore, not Hong Kong.
Oh, okay.
My base is in New York, but I spent a decent amount of time in Southeast Asia. But yeah, as Tim said, we made some good memories a couple of years ago, and we stayed in touch, even collaborated on some projects. And currently, I'm a startup founder. I basically run a health tech startup, and just briefly, we work. We basically build what we call the execution layer for healthcare. The execution layer for AI in healthcare, and what it means is basically we build infrastructure that makes AI execute, operate reliably inside real workflows. And what it means basically in simple terms, production grade agentic AI systems across all sorts of different segments of digital health. And that's basically it. That's kind of a short summary of
great.
my background. Yeah.
Your company name? Would you like to?
Oh yeah, the name of the company is Odysseus Health AI.
Okay. All right, great. So I'll share that with everyone. I want to remind everyone to share your questions, your comments for our panel. Here's some comments that we're receiving from Denise McInerney with GLSA. I know she has a community as well, and Chris Matthews as well. As we mentioned, one of the reasons why we started this monthly session is because we're building a community around the event. We've generated so many new ideas, so many new connections that we thought, look, we need to not just do it for 16 days in a very concentrated, focused manner, virtually, but keep up with the latest innovations and with each other, right, throughout the year as well. And so this is the link to join our Healthcare Champions community. All right, where we'll be sharing lots of presentations, exclusive reports and insights as well. So that's in the comment. Now, I do want to make sure that John Hemming can introduce himself. I know he's joining from London. John, you've been involved. You've been also a competitor. Then you became an expert judge the last 2 years.
That's right. And I'm in London. Normally, I'm based in Birmingham in the UK.
Yep.
But I'm in London at the moment, and hence my usual paraphernalia is not there. So it would the video is not very good. But I've done various things. I started out with physics at Magdalen College, Oxford. And then I went into tech, and then I went into a bit of music and a bit of politics, because I was a member of parliament in the UK for 10 years and a councillor in Birmingham for 18 years. And obviously, so I look at the regulatory system from a different perspective, because I spent 10 years on the Regulatory Reform Select Committee of the UK House of Commons. So I can see various aspects of that, but I'm in the biotech world these days with the biohacking team, where we sell substances to influence epigenetic expression of genes, particularly focusing not on methylation, but on acetylation, because we think that acetylation is the key driver of aging, actually, as in reductions in acetylation. So, and I'm also in the AI sphere as well. And there's this very interesting question, is to what extent AI can step out of the conventional wisdom, because to a certain extent, LLMs are looking for a subtle analysis of the conventional wisdom, and novelty, which is what all the Olympics is about, has to move away from the conventional wisdom. And yes, I've been looking at I've been using Agentic AI today, but the underlying question is, how do yes, it's very interesting looking at AlphaFold and how AlphaFold works, but AlphaFold is looking for patterns. It's not necessarily looking for novelty. So novelty, really, I think the role of things like the medical affairs in Olympics for identifying novelty becomes even more important in the context of AI.
Yep. All right. Great. Thank you, John. So I'm going to go back to Srinivasan here and also show the topics that we'll be discussing today, as promised. So you've heard about Srinivasan's background, and now I want to ask him, what are the key ingredients to accelerating innovation from his perspective, given that he's worked at Unilever, right, with consumer goods, digital device transformation. So, Srinivasan, what is your perspective on how you've brought that innovation to the ultimate end users faster?
Thank you, Tim, for the question. And one of the things I failed to say, of course, is very much like my career at Unilever, I kind of traversed through multiple teams. Even here at Regeneron, I started off with medical affairs, spent a couple of years there. Then I was partner to the global development teams for their digital technology solutions. And a year later, now I'm partnering with R&D. So there's a theme here, and the theme really is that the more you learn about various aspects, various roles within an organization, you're not only learning and being a lifelong learner, but you're also contributing your existing knowledge to make things in there better, for the new teams that you're dealing with. So one of the key ingredients for innovation is curiosity. It's curious about what it is that you're getting into, how you're trying to do certain things, and how your existing knowledge can help the things that you're involved in do better. And if I have to kind of like summarize my career in a nutshell, that probably is what it is. I've always been a lifelong learner. I've learned the new aspects of things that I've gone into. And sometimes I say this jokingly that I'm a mile wide, maybe a foot deep, because I learned sufficiently about the area, but without becoming an expert. There are experts in that space who can do very, very well. But what you also have to do is you have to have an open communication with the people that you're talking to, right? You have to, what they call be present, active listening is what you really want to truly understand what their process is, where it is that they're experiencing pain points. Sometimes they're very, very vocal about what the challenge is. But then if you truly listen in, you'd probably identify one or two tweaks that can help address their main concerns without actually becoming burdensome in their workflow, without requiring them to change their ways of working. So for me, I really, if I had to come back to your original question, Tim, I would say that the primary ingredient for innovation, the primary purpose for innovation, and the primary tools that would help is to bring along people with diversity, diverse backgrounds, bring them into a box, have them think about what the problem to be solved is, and then get them to kind of like collaborate and work towards addressing it.
Yeah. Great. Yeah, and that's kind of the spirit of this event. Bring different people who wouldn't otherwise interact and share their insights, including, of course, always, as tradition has it, sports athletes, Olympians, world record holders whom we've had. And when we met 2 years ago, your insights in real-time feedback for some other innovators in medical affairs, in pharma, were ones that really captured my attention, because you mentioned mile wide and foot deep, but it was that curiosity was present there, and that was just visible. It was clear, and so I'm really, really excited that you're going to be joining us as an expert judge as well. So I want to ask you, what really attracted you, appealed to you about our particular healthcare competition here? Why you joined, and why you think others should join as well?
There's a certain aspect about giving back, Tim, right? Throughout my career, I've had many, many folks who have mentored me, who have provided the opportunity, who provided critical feedback that have helped evolve me into the person that I am today. And what I found very, very interesting is I have not become a judge at these competitions because I have put myself out there to do so. They've kind of come upon me, and perhaps it has to do with a different way of thinking around what the problem statement is and what the solutions are that are being offered. So in my first year at Regeneron, there was a medical affairs innovation competition where I was a Shark Tank judge. This was like 4 months into the company, right? And interestingly enough, one of the winners of the competition was at a TEDx event yesterday speaking about her journey through this thing. So I think the reason I joined, when I said yes to you, Tim, when you offered this role to me, is simply because I learned so much from kind of like the intelligence and the innovation that comes from the competitors, from the participant in these competitions. It sparks ideas that sitting in a room by myself, I would have never had. And what better way to go back and to hear, but also help them explore other angles of their innovation that they may not have thought about. That really is what draws me to innovation and to be a judge at these competitions. Okay.
Yeah. Wonderful. That's very honorable, commendable. We're grateful. We're fortunate. I'd like to invite the others to maybe ask some follow-up questions, maybe delve into some details of Srinivasan's experience in driving productivity at Regeneron in medical affairs, and now hopefully at preclinical R&D, where he's going to have his his role and his influence. Yeah, so those of you who are joining, I see quite a few of you. Feel free to ask some questions. Melissa, Kresimir, John, any comments or questions from Srinivasan before we get into our next topic? Anything? Yeah.
I'm okay.
Okay, all right. Well, we wanted to talk also about agentic AI for medical insights. For medical science, which is a very common use case. How to analyze a lot of unstructured data in different formats in life sciences, where this is just being magnified and just growing rapidly in a manner that's not always easy to manage. So I invited Kresimir Latinic, and also the others also feel free to chime in, but I wanted to ask Kresimir about what's new, what has changed in using AI for making sense of these insights that we should know about.
Yeah, that's definitely an interesting topic. I remember Tim and I collaborated, you and I collaborated even a couple of years ago when we built our first version of Insights. I think it was 2023.
Right. Yeah.
And we are collaborating again now in 2026. And the Insights platform of a few years ago were very different. They were designed around early 2020s era NLP capabilities, keyword extraction, sentiment scores, topic modeling, maybe some summarization. It was useful at the time, but it was very limited. 2 years ago, the best you could get was, physicians mentioned safety issues, 45 times last quarter, or overall sentiment is 68% positive and kind of it's gone up compared to the last month. But in the last year, I would say that frontier LLMs reached a level of reasoning high enough for extremely complex analysis. So this kind of shifted the entire premise. Today, we can train LLMs to execute extremely complex graph database queries, run a long sequence of analytical tasks, and then interpret the results, structure a strategic narrative, and then output a fully formatted PowerPoint deck. So it's basically end-to-end. But I think most importantly, because of these capabilities, we can ask questions we couldn't ask before. So, for example, we can understand how physicians truly evolve over time, how they change their minds. Just as an example, not to go into too much detail, we can take all physician conversation data and model it as a network graph. Every interaction point, every conversational point gets analyzed and classified across multiple dimensions and connected as a sequence of states. And we can track how these physicians move between these states over time. And you can ask questions. You can ask something like, what causes physicians to move from negative to positive sentiment, or what gets them closer to prescribing intent? And the answer is a map of the actual pathways that these physicians follow, with the probabilities at each step, with the actions and data points and the topics that trigger each transition. And then, we can take that even further from overall patterns to specific physician journeys or specific territories. What's interesting, you can compare territories to find the differences and similarities You can ask what engagement sequences are converting physicians in one region that isn't working in another. What can be cross-applied? Where does a territory need its own approach? So basically what I'm trying to say is we are moving away from pure description and more toward causation and prediction. So in this example, for example, the system doesn't just tell you, 15 physicians are willing to prescribe and that number is up compared to the last month. It tells you to whom and why and what got them there, right? And who's on the same path now and who's at risk of dropping off. So these are just some examples of much more complex analysis and much more valuable, actionable recommendations we can get from that. I think I'll stop there. I'll just maybe end by mentioning that all this carries a new challenge, right?
Yeah,
The
that's my
challenge.
question was, are there new challenges?
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Well, if you remember, a couple of years ago, we were we spent a lot of time and focus on training our proprietary open source models for different tasks. It was all about fine tuning and training and getting these custom LLMs to do specific tasks very highly accurately, and then kind of use them in some kind of combinations to build up the rich database of these classification labels and some insights. Today, this is very different. The reasoning layer is solved. Extremely capable models are commoditized. They're widely available. The gap isn't intelligence, is the infrastructure. So, as you know, foundation models generate text outputs. They don't generate operations. So we need infrastructure that makes that AI execute reliably inside real life workflows. And that's what we focus on today. So we basically build production-ready agentic AI systems that can manage, all these complex operations, that can learn through continuous evaluation when deployed in the real world. And finally, our systems can be deployed on the client side in the client's cloud for full control and full visibility into every step. So that's why what I like to call today, what we do is the execution layer for healthcare AI, right? It's really, figuring out how to make all this work in production, because none of this works outside the box, right? The LLMs don't generate these insights outside the box. You need to build on, that whole execution layer. So that's the challenge today. Basically, it's different than 3 years ago.
So along that same note of challenges, I want to share
Tim, I can't hear you.
Okay. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. Melissa,
so I can hear you, Tim, but I lost audio for a second. So Krasimir,
can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
If you want to kind of go down to the bottom where the audio effects are, try that. So maybe you want to give him the instructions, because I lost you for a second there, Tim.
Oh,
and then
okay.
I had to kind of change the audio settings. No,
I didn't do anything.
Now, but...
I mean, I can hear you, but
okay. No, I think right now the audio is fine, actually. Yeah, no worries. So I know. So along the same note of challenges, in fact, if there's anyone else who's having issues who cannot hear me or anyone else, please comment. But okay, yep, the settings. They're fine. It looks like they're okay. Yes,
Srinivasan, I lost you for a moment there too, and then when I did that, the microphone at the bottom of the page, by toggling back and forth, I hear you back again. Yeah.
Okay, good.
But I think Krasimir is still, I think he's exiting and coming back on. I do have a question for him when he does come back. So I'll hold that for now and let you
Okay.
kind of speak, Tim, because there's a very important criteria around your data quality prior to employing any kind of AI around that piece. Yeah, so I just want to see what Krishnan has to say on the pre-work to get things going so that his AI intervention for the infrastructure can actually be successful. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, this is a good segue into.
I lost you again. What's happening?
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, now I hear you.
You hear me, right?
I lost you again for a minute there, but now I hear you.
Okay. Yeah. My microphone is set. My settings are actually, they're fine. So I want to share a little some recent data and get your reactions from you and from Srinivasan, from Melissa maybe as well as Krassimir and anybody else in the audience. A lot of the time, the life science companies now they have many solutions with AI, but they're failing in scaling them across their different departments, across their organization. And there are various different reasons that have been cited. Data quality, which is what you mentioned there, Srinivasan. Prompts that are not logged, right? So as a result of not knowing, not knowing what mistake you made, maybe in your prompt, you're not able to trace that output back and to understand, okay, what do you need to improve, right? And this actually translates into very significant problems if you're using this type of technology in submissions to the FDA, for example. Right, so just logging every step, making sure that there's quality, that the data is ready for AI. These are some of the reasons that have been cited. The other part of the recent data that I want to highlight here is that many people think that we need to use agentic AI since that's kind of the latest advance, and that's not always true. And this is the research from Capgemini that shows how different types of AI need to be matched for the right use cases. Right, and in this case, it's an R&D, and you can see here that machine learning, in particular, NLP, maybe even more helpful or valuable in drug discovery, for example, in preclinical testing or in clinical trials than during other types of processes throughout the drug development. But there's clearly productivity and time savings that have been seen. Target identification, biomarker identification, right, compound screening, regulatory document preparation. So some of the latest data that I've seen from JPM 2026 also shows that about 30% of the new drugs in this year will actually be generated with AI as the system. So why are companies still having these challenges? What can they do to change their approach? Just a question for you both and for others as well. We know that it's productive, but now the question is kind of how are you making it valuable? The proof is there that it's going to make you productive, but now how do you really bring it tied to outcomes this year in 2026? Srinivasan, Krassimir, I see you got back online here. There you go. Okay.
So,
go ahead.
Tim, I'm not sure if you were able to hear anything I was saying anyways before.
No, now I can hear. We can hear you. Yeah. Feel free to.
Before you were not able to hear anything?
We did.
Or?
Yeah.
Okay, so you didn't miss anything. It was just, okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, so I actually continue to elaborate on the challenge question and your comments, showing a couple of slides there. Srinivasan, I saw that you were speaking. Could you maybe address some of that research that I showed there? Oh, you're on mute there, Srinivasan. Yeah, there you go.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah.
It seems like a Verizon ad, yeah. So I did have a question for Krasimir around the data quality and what his team does with respect to that. So we will come back to that question. The one piece that caught my attention, Tim, as you were speaking with all the challenges of the mic was your prediction that, if I'm not mistaken, you said 30% of new drugs would be discovered by AI within a certain time frame. Did you say within the next year or?
This year, yeah, that was just, yeah. I would see. Yep.
I'm not sure I align with that. And maybe you're talking about a fresh possible target or a candidate that could attack a target. But there's still, within pharma, there's a long process to go from that stage all the way to making it a viable drug. So I'm not sure where your research is coming from. So I would certainly challenge
this is
that
expert panelists at JPM 2026.
Yeah.
It's not hard. It's a prediction, so it's not hard data. So yeah.
Yeah. So that would be my reaction. And so, Krasimir, the question that I had for you was, it was quite interesting to hear you say about what your company is planning to do with respect to making it easier to surface those kinds of relationships in the HCP interaction so that it becomes more relevant. But just 2 days ago, there was a LinkedIn post about how the best of the AI tools are likely to fail if the underlying data is not organized properly or kind of like made available to the data to the AI in a format that can be used to derive those insights. Yeah. So does your company address that? What if you go into an organization where that data quality is not as great as your existing AI models would want it to be?
No, I mean there's nothing you can do there, right? There are two things you can do. You can throw all the tools and resources at the data and try to extract maximum amount of insights from it. But obviously, the quality of insights is going to follow the quality of the data. One of the things you can do is try to educate. This is kind of what Tim and I were recently, thinking about and working on was how to educate the MSLs, medical affairs professionals or sales professionals to collect quality insights. Right? I'm sorry, to collect good quality, field conversational data or field summaries. But you're right. I mean, if the data is not rich and doesn't have some kind of temporal sequence of events that kind of indicate, what were the initial states and what were the actions and data points or educational materials, requests, or whatever happened, what the action was, and what the resulting state was of that action, then you're not going to be able to model the state evolution, how physicians evolve over time, right? Because we are modeling, my background is in data science and time series, stochastic processes. We like to think about state transitions, and if if your data is either is too poor quality and doesn't have the dimension, and it's too dry and doesn't have some kind of indication of causality, or explanations. It's not gonna generate great outcomes. I mean, just as you said, as you can imagine, right? It's all in the inputs. It's not all in the inputs, but good quality inputs are required to maximize the potential of what AI can do today, right?
Absolutely.
Can I echo on Krasmir's point about quality inputs? Obviously, there's the replicability issue in the sort of biosciences sphere, but AI particularly doesn't have a very good system for monitoring what is good data and what is bad data. So it looks for the average, the most probable outcome of all the data. And if a lot of the data is unreliable for various reasons, and it's a complex thing, then you're not going to get necessarily useful outcomes. This is one of my issues with using AI to filter drug candidates prior to testing, which is it could filter things out on the basis of duff information. And yes, there are, like, if you want to go at it from a point of view of designing proteins, there are lots of things you can design. But actually, if you're looking at natural substances that, a lot of the medication that people use are natural substances which already have a metabolic function. And if you're then going to filter those out based on unreliable data analyzed by an AI, it's not necessarily going to give you good answers in all circumstances. And it's garbage in, garbage out in a much more complicated way using partial differential equations rather than anything else. But, so, which it is.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. There's we always look at, we do a pretty comprehensive manual exploration of data, and you can immediately tell, if it's meaningful or not, right? And if it's not, it's not worth throwing cutting edge AI on it, because you're not going to get much, right? Tim, I can't
Tim,
hear
you're
you.
You're muted this time.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Yeah. I said thank you. So, Krasmir, when you and I connected, after 2 years earlier last year, you kind of provided me with that update, and that kind of inspired me to actually create this type of a graph to demonstrate that we've been using dashboards for quite a long time, and they are useful to us, right? Because they provide us with just an instant kind of a cross section or instant picture, snapshot of progress. And in medical affairs and life sciences, we need to know that the output has quality, and it comes from a set of data that we know, that is kind of is centralized, right? That we can control, right? With retrieval augmentation generation, LLMs, right? Which answer a different question of what is the evidence, right? How do we measure it? And agentic AI provides us with answers to a different question of what that next best action is. However, to all the points that you've made, the quality of these decisions may also vary, right? There are some challenges with governance, right, and the human interactions, and those kinds of things that are kind of unseen by AI that also determine whether or not that next action will be useful or valuable. Is also something that you cannot really control. So to me, it's not that it's one or the other. It's just the question is, how do you combine these various different types of approaches to AI? And that's one of the reasons why we created the Ancora platform, right, to answer different question altogether of what is the quality of the KPIs, not just what's the strength of the evidence, but how do I explain my decisions, and how can I track those decisions over time. So any comments on kind of my simplistic but kind of diagram of just this spectrum of where AI is going and how you need to really augment these approaches?
Well, I would just add a buzzword that everybody mentions today, which is human in the loop. Human in the loop can mean many different things. I think when it comes to insights, I think to everyone's point, data quality is critical here. And it's something maybe Tim, you can mention how you're addressing that with with the client, basically trying to educate any client that's willing to, any company that's willing to get an AI platform through a vendor for insights, should be interested in educating their people on how to generate insights of sufficiently high quality that it all pays off, right? And I think you're doing something. If when I think about our collaboration,
Right.
that's one of the things you're doing. So you can influence the data inputs, the quality of the data. So you have human in the loop almost at the initial stage before data even goes into the platform to control the quality of inputs. And then your platform sits kind of like in between the AI Insights platform. Let's say you get a bunch of insights and recommendations in terms of what to do, what the next steps should be. But then your platform can actually, it can complement these field summaries by collecting real data on these outcomes, right? And then you can feed that back into, that's kind of another type of human in the loop where you can basically collect outcomes in the field in terms of, whether it's through surveys or however you want to measure outcomes, and feed that back into with field summaries into the system and see how these different actions are basically doing what they're supposed to do, giving you ROI on those actions. And you can incorporate that into the AI itself, into the product. It's almost like a feedback loop, real world feedback loop that basically that can be obviously not only used to train the people to in terms of what they should be doing with KOLs, but also you can train, it can help train the AI system, give better actionable recommendations next time. So, and then human in the loop, obviously in the traditional sense of just at multiple steps, agentic AI can have hundreds of steps, and at different steps you may need a human to approve a decision or to approve a report or whatever. That's kind of a more traditional human in the loop. But in our case, I think having that human in the loop at the beginning, training field people how to collect better data and then collect outcomes in the field and feed that back into the system, objective outcomes.
Yep.
On top of field summary. So I'm just thinking about ways how to improve the quality of insights over time and the quality of data going into the platform.
Yeah, so I'm very, very excited about our collaboration. We'll have more evidence that we'll be sharing, hopefully best practice, and another webinar later on this year with an international large company where we have both an upstream kind of a agentic AI solution for a commercial team as well as medical team with thousands of very detailed insights that they want to really utilize in order to do their job better every day. And then more a downstream product than Cora decision assistant that helps them track those decisions and understand to really what to do with those better insights and the insights that they're now more structured and formatted. And so ultimately, that's our collaboration. But I want to ask the others as well, maybe online here, those who are listening, about the specific connections, some of the new connections that we've already been making. This is one example with Kresimir and with me, right? John Hemming, maybe others who are online, feel free to comment. I know that there's lots of connections that are being made, just because through LinkedIn and just through our, private chats as well.
I think what I would say is the most important thing is learning. And you make connections with people, but you learn from, and in a sense, within the context of AI, domain knowledge is important, but actually a broader sort of level of learning becomes more important because you need to be able to operate in multiple domains. Particularly if you're looking for novelty, and novelty remains an issue. And I am not myself persuaded that the LLM approach is a good tool for novelty. I think it's a good tool for pattern analysis. It's a very good tool for searching and reviewing, but it's not a good tool, in my view, for novelty.
Yeah. Okay. So that's going back to the agentic AI question. Good, thanks. But in terms of the connections that you've made in this event, John, since you've been both a competitor and a judge, I want to kind of go back to inviting the audience who may be watching this to join our healthcare.
I may be setting up. Obviously, I'm selling substances in the UK, and I may be selling in the US via connections I've made through this particular contest. So, this is a very useful contest to give into. If you think about it, online at the moment, we've got people in all sorts of different time zones who wouldn't normally encounter each other apart from this particular contest.
Yeah. Kresimir, since you've participated before, and anything else to add in terms of the event?
Well, I've certainly made many connections, and I've stayed in touch with many. I've made some even good friends, and I even got a client. Through a couple of years ago, we did some work together, and partnership with you, obviously.
Sure.
So yeah, it's been great. I mean, it's and you get to see what's being developed, right?
Yeah. Srinivasan, any other comments on the agentic AI or on the because I know you've worked on some of this work as well.
So for me, I think the key here is I think it was John who talked about the domain expertise. I think that still will be true, but if you go back to one of my favorite phrases, which is that just because you have a hammer, everything does not become a nail. Yeah. So you kind of have to figure out what is the right approach for the particular problem at hand. You do have to spend the time and effort to craft the agent or orchestrate multiple agents together in order to actually solve the problem at hand. And you have to be willing to iterate, get feedback, and refine as needed. So this is another one of those phrases that's been used in the past. I think AI is not going to replace you. People who understand and use AI will have a leg up on you in the workforce. So educate yourself about AI, educate yourself about agentic AI, figure out where it can actually help. Use a mentorship model. Perhaps you can mentor someone who's new in the industry, but who's very, very skilled in AI, and learn from them on how they would apply their skills to you. Life is about being curious, making connections, putting yourself out there, and leveraging for full value.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you. We're getting a few comments from other competitors, actually, who've won, in fact, the event a couple of years ago. Tamar Sapir with Synchronix, remote patient monitoring. So yeah, we've learned a lot about the roles of patient support service lines, established relations with pharma partners, even got clients as a result of the event. So great testimony, and hopefully an inspiration for those of you watching this to join this year. The event is going to take place October 1st to the 16th. So patient support services, okay, as a result of the presentation award. So thank you, Tamar, for that. And so, I actually got back from Milan yesterday after 3 days of cancellations here back to the snowy New York. And in this last few minutes, I want to talk a little bit about the format, the role of the intensity and of competition and this Olympic format that we are replicating as best as possible in our event, Medical Innovation Olympics. So there's a couple of videos that I have very quickly that I just want to share how real-time feedback has now changed certain events, such as figure skating, which is such a subjective event. Let's look at this. Where judges, as the routine goes, during every technical component, they are required to take notes and provide a grade, right? And all of these grades are tallied up, but this is a big improvement of what's been done before, right? And this is exactly the kind of real-time feedback that we all need everywhere, in pharma, in life sciences, and that's what we're providing you at Amedea Pharma with our Ancora Decision Assistant platform, where your real views of all your live daily contributions are now becoming transparent and visible, because they're the ones that are necessary to drive those results on business and on patients. Tim, Amedea Pharma. We are going to organize the 5th Annual Medical Innovation Olympics, October 1st to the 16th. We invite you to join us. Join our healthcare champions community, my friends. All right? Just watched my first ever ceremony, medal ceremony, from Milano Cortina 2026, 2026.
Tim, you're on mute.
Okay, there we go. That's the example of the kind of the real-time feedback that judges will be providing at our event, and that have been doing that for the last 4 years, which leads to a little bit of intensity, but a lot of transparency and room for improvement. And what we've shown over the last 4 years is that from going from Olympic trials to the round 1, round 2, to semifinals and finals, consistently, our competitors have improved their marks that they've been receiving. So that's kind of the reason, for the format. And
Tim, thank you very much. I have to drop off for my next meeting, but this was very enjoyable, and good luck to all the competitors.
Thank you. Thank you, Srinivasan. See you soon. Yep.
Tim, as I mentioned before the call, I also unfortunately have to drop off. I have another meeting and it's late, but this was great. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you, Krasimir and Srinivasan and everyone.
Bye.
See you next month for next monthly edition. Thanks, guys. Thanks.
See you.
Bye.